Let's bring on Ms. Jen Perelman for Congress.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's good to see you both.
It's so great to see you. Okay, whom were you speaking to there?
Okay, so that in particular, it might have been the first or the second night of Ramadan. I don't know. It was an iftar, but it was also a Palestinian fundraiser. And they had this like food contest, kind of like a chili cook-off, but with some dish I'll never be able to pronounce.
Right.
So they had this cook-off, and it was a fundraiser for people in Palestine. Every single person that was there that was Palestinian has family that was killed in Gaza. I felt just so honored that they invited me to even come to that. Yeah. And they're just so grateful that anyone even cared. It's so pathetic to me that people have been neglected for so long, that the slightest bit of just, wanting to help, it's like, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is just enraging all the way around. But so that was a fundraiser sometime around like the first couple of days of Ramadan. And now I've been to like another 4 additional iftar dinners. And it's not going to bode well for me at the end of the month because they're all fasting during the day. I'm not fasting during the day. I'm not fasting during the day.
I am a Jew who does not fast even on Yom Kippur. I have to be honest.
My girlfriends used to keep snack bars in their purse because I get cranky. Can you imagine like a day of fasting? No.
Yeah. So well, the Muslims are amazing. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what is the area that you represent? That you're fighting against, you're challenging Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Okay, so our district is like, we're part of like this. If you were to look at like where Fort Lauderdale is, that would be like the northernmost, eastmost corner. And then we're the south part of Broward in like a rectangle across. Like, so we have Weston across the Hallandale Beach and down to Miramar and part of Plantation. So it's pretty much a decent sized rectangle. I mean, it's still somewhat gerrymandered,
right?
But nowhere near. Our new district lines are much more favorable to us as grassroots than they were to her, which is another part of the inspiration for doing it now like this. Yeah.
Is it a solid Democratic district?
Yes. We're a +12 blue. And honestly, it even feels like more than that. I mean, I don't know. We're pretty solid. So really the only race that matters here is the primary, right, which is why she's been able to sit there for that long. Cause you at 14% voter turnout in a primary, how few people does it take?
Yeah.
So that's why people are like, how does she sit there when she's so unpopular? Well, we have closed primaries, which half the people that are registered as NPA don't even know. Cause most people don't even know there are primaries, so that's a big part of it. So it isn't that she's so popular. It's just that within that niche of people that are primary voters.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why. So, yeah.
Okay. So I always think, New York, Hollywood, and like Miami-Dade area feel like my mom hates when I say this, the Jewiest areas of the country.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you as an anti-Zionist Jew who has been very vocal about it, which I love. What is the response from your community? How is that going down there?
You know what? It's really interesting because it's a mix, but I will say something that predominantly down here, the majority of like very Zionist people are registered Republican. Oh. So like what I was just saying before in terms of that this is a primary battle. So just that is one group that you have to take off. That's not even in our world.
Right.
So then you have to say, okay, well, yeah, there's going to be people that are going to vote on this issue. No doubt they're going to be with Debbie, AIPAC, darling, all the way. I believe for the most part, those were already her people anyway. I don't think there's that many people that you would say were on the fence that would be it. Maybe a few.
Right.
And then you have to say, okay, and then what other population did we gain? Because we lost all of Miami-Dade County is no longer part of our district. She lost the most Jewish part of our district.
Oh, really?
So our new district lost Miami-Dade County. And now we have Miramar, which is predominantly not just working class, but predominantly Latino and Haitian and other Islander.
Okay.
So like
you're going to be probably the only pro-Palestine candidate, either side, right? Or
I don't know of any others, and certainly not Jews, and that is one of the reasons.
So I'm thinking you're going to pick up probably a lot of young support, maybe even some Republicans who are pro-Palestine. I mean, if you're a single issue voter, that's a pretty strong one.
I think it'll definitely, I agree. It'll pull some people that are NPAs and Republicans for sure in the general. Right. But as far as like Democrats in the primary, I really think that her people are those people and my people are my people.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people that we have to get out to get, like in particular, people that don't always go out and vote. And most of those people are our people. Right. Like what we're talking, when we had, I don't know if you're familiar with Aventura. Are you familiar with Aventura area?
I'm not.
Okay. So was a part of our district that it's all condos and all gated and you cannot canvass the entire city. There's no, like, so if you're grassroots, you're not reaching those people, whereas she's flooding it with mailers and TV ads and all of that. Right. So we lost that. And now what we gained is like all canvassable and all blue collar.
That's fantastic.
It is. Yeah. And so, and I hate like labeling demographics like this, but it's numbers, guys, I mean, it is what it is.
It's data, whatever. Yeah.
It's data. So I think strategically there's certain things that aligned that made it okay. But the Israel issue is going to be definitely a thing. Yeah. But I would now suggest that there is a very large Muslim community that has been reaching out to me. And they're like, I am now in so many groups and WhatsApps. I can't tell you, like, that's wonderful. So does that balance it? I think way more so, actually.
Yeah.
Given that, So it's going to be very interesting.
I'm shocked that she allowed the gerrymandering or that shift.
I think, and look, I've heard this over the past like 10 years since the last redistricting, that she is not necessarily in with the people in Tallahassee like she used to be when it was closer to when she had served in Tallahassee. And I think that over the amount of time, because there was a lot of years when whoever was there was just whoever she knew, Republican, Democrat, didn't matter. Right. And I really think that that was another sign where clearly that she's not as powerful as she used to be, that happened. So there's been a lot of signs like that are just leading to, what could be a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so my question, do you think, like on the fundraising side, it's probably too early to have a good grasp of it, but do you think the squad and all the disappointment that nationally progressives have had is going to harm you? Because they were throwing money at any progressive candidate, 4 years ago. And then people online have been just so disappointed that I think it's going to be harder for you to get money this time around.
Yeah. And I'm getting more money than I got last time. So
really?
This is, oh my God. Last time it was like a regular roller coaster where it's like, this time we're like on hyper coaster, like our fundraiser, like it's crazy. I got some 84-year-old Jewish man sent me an email to my personal email yesterday and pledged $10,000, which he doesn't even know that he can't even give that much money. But but the point is, like, that would have never happened 4 years ago. Now, the Palestine situation is definitely fueling that for a lot of people. Again, part of what is a perfect storm. But there's a lot of other things that are going to be in play that I think will make this a lot more competitive than anybody would think. Right. But and also remember, she's very disliked. You can't forget how disliked she is.
Even down there, even in her,
even down here. But I mean, in terms of national and fundraising, when we're talking about fundraising, she's people dislike her all over. I got a check for $50 from Wyoming because I was trash talking Wyoming because they were the only state I didn't get money from last time. So then my husband comes home from the PO box and he's like, "You got something from Wyoming?" And it was sure enough $50 as a gift from Wyoming. So I can't even call out Wyoming anymore.
That's awesome.
I like the idea of negging your donations. Just
Well, I'm just saying, out of 2020, I got money from every single state except Wyoming, and I just always found that very interesting.
Yeah.
And they've only given you $50, which I'm frankly disappointed in.
I'm not at all. Let me tell you. Yeah, no, I love the more donors is better than the more money. Right. And I know my finance director will probably kill me, but like, that's the truth. Because
she'll get one big check from AIPAC or whatever supporting her, right? And then but like, that's not actual support of people.
No. And more importantly, all that does is work this campaign. When
Right.
you get people that are following you and are inspired by you and feel like what you're doing is righteous, you're building a movement.
Yeah.
So, but if you're just worrying about the amount of donations that you get,
Right.
that you're not building coalition, you're building
Right.
your campaign, and maybe you win. But then
Right.
how much actual power do you have behind you if you don't have an army?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you need the most people, not the
Absolutely.
most money. And so and we do need money too. Okay.
know.
So we need money too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, okay, why don't you tell us about your anti-Zionist transformation, and then also tell us about your overall platform?
Okay. So I was raised Zionist Jewish, North Miami Beach, Florida. And I mean, we were just very lied to, very brainwashed, very propagandized. We were taught Arabs were lesser. We were taught that they hated us. We were taught and I'm not even talking by my parents. My parents in
Right.
particular never said that
Right.
to me. It was never, my parents in particular are kind of atheists, but I grew up in a very Jewish community. My grandparents, my great grandparents, and I was always around it.
Right.
And that was what JCC,
Yeah.
anything having to do with any sort of bar and bat mitzvahs. I went every weekend. It was just our life.
Yeah.
And it took me the last 15 years or so to just slowly start deprogramming. And it really got to me when I started hearing about all the anti-BDS legislation and
Yeah.
that, okay, so now you're infringing on my constitutional rights here.
Right.
And why would you be doing that if you weren't so afraid of something kind of all falling apart, the facade? So then I just started digging. It just a house of cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a house of cards. So now I can't unsee it. And now I've spent the past, I want to say 3 years, really researching, really learning. I mean, not dissertation level learning, but I've read so much.
Yeah.
And just to feel I feel very strong and comfortable in my position. I feel very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I sleep fine at night. I've lost friends. I'm sure I have family that won't talk to me, whatever. Right. That's unfortunate. But yeah, it is what it is. So I mean, and I almost don't like the term anti-Zionist. I almost like the term non-Zionist.
Right.
I don't want to sound so inflammatory. I just believe
pro-Palestine or whatever. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
definitely.
Zionism means something different to them. So
it's just yeah. You know. And I just feel like it almost it gives credence to it. I heard somebody saying this, if you say you're anti it almost gives it credence and I want to credibilize it.
Yeah. Take away some of the power of it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of okay, I'm a non-Zionist. I believe that there needs to be one state that is a democratic state that goes from the river to the sea for all people that choose to live there in harmony. That's what I believe. And the only way that can happen is not as any sort of ethno-state. Ethno-state means ethno-cleanse. It's not rocket science. So yeah, that's what I think. And there's no negotiating it really. I kind of feel like that about healthcare, right? We're done discussing this.
Yeah.
And it's that. And I'm tired of people talking about hostages and Hamas and all that because you're just focused on one incident, which while very important,
right.
We're so far past that now.
Yeah.
We are so far past that now.
So far past that now. And also there were 75 years before that
that's what I
did not start on. Yeah. And the talk about hostages, I saw a few people with dog tags this weekend, bring them home, bring the hostages home. And they never talk about the 6,000 or 5,500 hostages, prisoners who are already being held in Israeli jails. Many of them children or no charges, women. And then the 3,500 who have been taken since October 7th.
Yep.
Hostages.
And Netanyahu's against a prisoner exchange. So, I mean, when you talk about, actually getting something done, we're sending all this money to somebody who doesn't support what we support at all in this country.
Yeah, even if you say you want to bring hostages home, he's not doing that. That's not his.
He doesn't care about the hostage. First of all, we saw them shoot, I think, at 3 of their own, killed 3 of their own hostages.
They've killed more than they've saved, actually.
Yes. And then if you're indiscriminately bombing, you don't care about your hostages. You don't care about your hostages. I don't understand how anybody could think they do. They were okay losing their hostages in the first place. They killed a whole bunch of people on October 7th in their little Hannibal,
directive. Yeah.
They're psychotic.
It is a lunatic nation. Yes. I mean, truly. Yeah. So yes. Okay. So we, and I think everybody who watches this, we're all in agreement, but can you
Yes.
also then tell us something about the rest of your platform?
Sure. So this time when we ran in 20, we focused like our big three were healthcare, environment, and criminal justice reform. All
Okay.
so important things. Let's be real. All of these issues are addressed in detail because I'm a total dork on my website, which is written in this. It's written in the style of the preamble. I'm such a dork. Like right to, like security, whatever, all that. And then that's how I did it. But the key things that we're really focusing on is the promote the general welfare portion. And really, it's about healthcare, housing, and jobs.
Okay.
I love the 21st Century Economic Bill of Rights. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harvey Kay and Alan Minsky. They wrote that amazing article that really highlighted it, which I put a nice link to on my website.
Which is gen2024.org. We will put a link in the description. Yes.
I wrote it down. You stole my moment, Lila. I was going to look so organized.
So really, and so obviously, I mean, I support, you call it Medicare for all, you call it single payer, you call it whatever you want to. Everybody gets healthcare free at point of service. And that includes actually mental and vision and dental and basically just everything.
Right.
But yeah, everybody just gets that, like in terms of at point of service. You can call it whatever you want. Yeah. And then the second thing in terms of housing, we're having a serious situation here. Honestly, there are so many different ways that has to be attacked. And I am so not the expert on that. But what I do know is that anybody working a full-time job needs to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment wherever they live. Okay. So whatever has to happen in terms of regulations against big corporations, like whether you're talking about State Street, all of those. Right. And then there has to also be significant protection for renters as well. But until people that are working a 40-hour week can spend a quarter of their income on housing and be in that zone, then we're not in the place we need to be for housing. So, and it isn't that there isn't enough housing. Right. There is enough housing, not necessarily affordable housing. There's housing. So
I happen to have the perfect graphic here.
Okay, perfect. So you see my point. So housing is my big second one. And then third, I really want to push the idea of federal job guarantee. And I know that that's more novel. But I remember like 10 years ago, we weren't all talking about Medicare for all like we are. And I feel like this is an opportunity to sort of plant that seed. But I've just, through all the people I've had on over the past 3 years and people like experts and stuff that we've talked to, I really believe that the federal job guarantee is the best way to do it, more so than having a minimum wage where we're constantly fighting about what's living, what's not living. If you have a federal job guarantee that's a living wage, you set that wage. Right. That's the wage. And that just to me makes sense. Instead of unemployment offices, you have employment offices. Right. There's ways to do this if there's a political will to do it. And I think the more people know about it, like we know about healthcare, then maybe in 20 years they'll be demanding that too. Like it's just got to be out there. So really 21st century economic bill of rights. But yeah, I've covered all sorts of things. I mean, the issues are lengthy on my website. So, yeah.
So, it's interesting because I think, as you said, Bernie kind of opened up a lot of our eyes wherever we've all moved on from there, possibly, and disappointment with him at various times, but definitely opened up a lot of our eyes to why we don't have Medicare for all. Why don't we, well, I guess Sunrise Movement and Green Party, but Green New Deal, living wage, all those things. And 100%, I agree with you. What does it mean exactly when you say a federal jobs guarantee? Is that you're working like really government jobs, or is it also like teaching, or it's like okay.
And there's a great book. I'm going to look at, I read it. Like I listened to it. Whenever I do an audiobook, then I forget the name of it because I don't have the book to look at the name. But her name is Paulina Chirk. Oh God, what is her name? I don't know. She wrote A Case for a Federal Job Guarantee is the name of the book. And Steve Grumbine, who's a friend, had recommended this. And it's really smart. But the general idea is there are so many people that have so many things that they could be doing to contribute to the world. If you're a musician, you could be teaching music. If you're a caregiver, you're probably not being paid for the care that you're giving. For example, if you're staying home and caring for a parent or a spouse, the federal job guarantee, you would get paid for doing that. It's about valuing people for what they do and offering a living wage for things that are important in, civilization. Right. So it isn't that you go to work for the state. or the federal government,
Right.
but it like gets subcontracted through state agencies, and then they deal with private different businesses, like not like a temp firm, but
Right.
yeah,
and aren't they usually community driven, like the needs?
Yes.
It's all locally decided stuff.
Correct. And it's caregiving, teaching, arts, culture, environmental stuff, people that like, there are so many things that community wise that need to be done.
Yeah.
And wouldn't we rather be paying people for employment than unemployment? I mean, it just
right.
seems smarter to me. And the truth is that will be to me, that's the best way to set a living wage.
Right.
And
because then other businesses have to compete with, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible that we don't have a cost of living, like that the federal minimum wage is not keeping up with inflation, and it's not even set with that. I mean, the last minimum wage was under George W. Bush. Okay, yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Look up the book, and I'm seeing them talking about it. Yeah, it's a case for federal job guarantee, I believe. It's a case for, and her name is, it's Russian, Chernova is the last name, something like that.
Okay.
Very good. Explains it better than I can. But anyway, it's very doable.
Yeah.
And this is like, look, FDR did this. This is not rocket science. Like, we've had these things. That's why this is the continuation of his economic Bill of Rights. Yeah.
So, you know, one thing that I thought was so interesting in 2020, those Fox exit polls that showed that all of Bernie's, you know, oh, he's, you know, a radical, he's so far left, they were majority popular, even amongst the Fox crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I don't think I mean, it's great that you're talking about a federal jobs guarantee. And I do think that talking about Israel and making sure that, especially as a Jewish person, that people know, yes, I'm Jewish, and no, I am not in favor of this Zionist project. And I'm not scapegoating only Netanyahu, which I think is also like this new tactic where he's the only person. It's like how people are like, oh, Trump, he's an anomaly. He's not an anomaly. He's exactly who all the Republicans are, and most Democrats also, let's face it. But it's not that most people don't want this. Like, I don't really think that we are that divided a nation when you actually talk to people. It's the money in politics that's preventing any of these programs that most of the country wants from even being mentioned anymore. Like, you know, so how do we get to that point?
You know, a big part of it is this sort of tribalism, where if an idea comes from one person on the other side, we're going to hate it and we can't work with that person because we've lost all sense of reason. And so for me, it's just a matter of, I will work with, talk with, go anywhere to work with people who are on my mission on any one particular thing. Maybe we don't agree on this, but we agree on that. Okay, so let's get that done. The constant tribalism, the constant bickering, it is off the wall. A lot of it has to do with campaign finance stuff and insider trading and all sorts of corruption as to who they work for.
Right.
But a lot of it is just like this perpetual need of everybody to be on teams, which is propagated by our disgusting media. And it's they want us to be in this way. Yeah. When in reality, we do know that most people do want the same things. And I know this for a fact. I've been canvassing my district for the better part of 4 years. We had our women's reproductive rights on the ballot, or we got it on the ballot. We were collecting petitions for that. I talk to people all over. I'll go knocking on a door that has a Trump flag hanging on it and a door that has like the, you know, save the whales, right? Like the whole thing. Yeah. And for the most part, people all want the same things. Yeah. And it's how the different groups are labeling things and purposefully misleading things so that they can keep skewing people onto their teams. Right. And it's sick. And it allows them to keep fundraising. The Democrats love this. Yeah. And so I just keep breaking through it. I just keep, but I have a lot of common ground and make a lot of coalitions with not only Republicans, but a lot of libertarians. And that's because I'm very, very like civil libertarian. Okay. And I like people like a lot of I don't have a problem with the Second Amendment, not even a little bit. Okay. And that is something that pisses off a lot of the progressives I'm not all about that issue. Okay. And a lot of the libertarians like that about me. So it is what it is. I just, so I get more of a well-rounded, I don't know. I feel like I could be a decent conduit to bring the people that consider, and by the way, I meet people that consider themselves, they say, well, I'm conservative. And then I talk to them and we basically agree on everything. Yeah. So, and I said, I'm like, so what makes you conservative? Is it just that you want to have guns? And they're like, well, yeah, we like to. I'm like, Okay, but that and I also don't like that somehow the left no longer claims civil liberties. I've always been left, and I've always been in favor of civil liberties. So I don't know. I think that we just people need to just wake up.
Yeah. And stop. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm kind of curious. What is Debbie going to run on? What's her platform going to be?
You mean, how is she going to make me look not capable?
Yeah. I mean, is that her whole platform? Is it the scary, crazy leftist? Is that the thing?
That will be part of it. She will definitely have AIPAC that'll be running nonstop, whatever about me as a self-loathing Jew and whatever other stuff.
Yeah, they already pledged $100 million to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. And between June and August, I'll be the only primary left, so it'll be fun. It'll be a whole party with me and AIPAC.
They'll find another $50 million for you.
Yeah, have at it. But here's the thing.
In your head. Yeah.
I don't know what other candidates do in terms of their community networks, their coalitions, how involved they are locally. So when we look at certain campaigns and all the money, we're looking at fundraising and we're looking at national level stuff. But I don't know what any of those candidates' ground game look like. I don't know how involved in their communities they are, because at the end of the day, it comes down to voters.
Right.
So they can have all the money, and you know what I'm saying? We need the amount of money we need to reach the amount of people we need to reach. Right. I don't need more than that. Yeah. She can raise 10 times that. Yeah. And it's not, that won't matter. There's this point of diminishing marginal returns on her end. And so I don't know. I feel good. I know they're going to attack me. I know they're going to say things about me. Fortunately for me and unfortunate for her, and I'm sure she's done such a deep dive into me by now that it's just probably eating her up that she can't find anything. But before I ran the first time, I had a friend's husband do an investigation into me, he didn't know me, to see what would come up. And then they gave me the report, and it was so disappointing. I literally have had the most boring existence known to man. Other than moving, there's literally nothing. Right. It's so boring. Right. So what is she going to say? She's going to say I have no experience. Right. She's going to say that I'm so left that it'll make the seat go Republican, which is absolutely a lie. That's not true. Right. And so that's it. She's not going to really be able to. What is she going to stand on? What? Did she have done her job? Yeah.
So will you have an opportunity to debate? Are you guaranteed debates? Is that not?
Oh God, no. She will. This is my prediction. Actually, Peter and I have sort of a wager on this. My prediction is that we will get all the way to the primary without her even mentioning my name. She won't mention my name. There's not a single chance in hell she'll purposefully be present anywhere where I am or debate me. Right. So now Peter thinks that eventually that she's going to end up having to sort of say, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But no, last time she just ignored it and completely pretended that it wasn't happening. I don't think she'll be able to do that as well, because I think people will ask her now, especially if we have as good of a showing as I think we will in our first one. So, and it makes us viable for endorsements, viable for different things. People will ask. Right. I still think she won't say my name. That's my prediction, guys. We'll have to wait and see.
So there's no requirement for debate. We don't have to debate in a democracy. I know. I love this.
Well, here's the thing. I don't debate anyway. I don't want to. Okay. I don't want to. What are we going to debate? Yeah. We're going to debate Israel? No. We're going to debate healthcare? Yeah. No. Right. I don't feel the need. I really don't. So that's the other thing. Debates are just theater. And nobody really ever changes their mind. Nobody watches the debate now and goes, everyone just thinks their person wins. Right. And it's just theater. And I honestly. Yeah. So no, I have no need to debate her.
Yeah. Good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask. So I have no idea. I mean, obviously she's Jewish and in Florida, and I'm sure she's extremely pro-Israel, but is she boxed into that? Has she made statements that are going to end up being really inflammatory if the public really turns on Israel?
She has been AIPAC spokesperson over the past week. Twice now, we've seen her on the Capitol steps. Just recently, I don't even remember which one it was just a few days ago, which she was talking about something horrible. Oh, about the hostages, about that Hamas is rejecting the deal. We need to get the hostages back. Yeah, nobody is going to accept a 6-week ceasefire. That's not happening. That's ridiculous. Nobody would do that. That's just stupid. Right. So she was saying that. She's been putting herself front and center on this issue all over the place. She's the gift that keeps giving. A few weeks ago, she stood on the steps of the Capitol and said about the resolution that said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Right. And most of them signed that. So in other words, 2 + 2 is 5. Okay.
Yep.
So she stood on the steps of the Capitol and said that anyone who wouldn't sign that doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Right. Now, and again, she's an expert on the soulless.
Yeah.
But you know, it's, she is making herself so front and center in this. This is so not going to age well.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I think, because, you know, people's votes on the Iraq War haunted them down the line.
Yeah.
But you got real time reporting on this stuff. Like, you know, public opinion is going to turn really hard on this.
Well, you
even
see
further down the road
how Biden, both because electorally and because I think he's realizing that he is now complicit in a genocide by providing arms to, you know, people who are plausibly committing a genocide, that could have some sort of, I mean, it will never, because what is that Hague Act will like go in and, you know, the US will go in and attack the Hague or whatever. But I mean, there are implications for being complicit in war crimes. So it's been interesting to see now, you know, of course, I mean, it's all just words and rhetoric as he sends all of the weapons to the people who are massacring and starving Palestinians, and then, you know, dump some food on their heads, killing 5 people, this pier that's ridiculous. But it's been interesting to see that there's some attempt now from, you know, Schumer, for instance, to distance himself from Netanyahu and again act as though he's an anomaly and that he's not representative at this point of basically the psyche, I think, in most of Israel.
Yeah, no, it for sure is. People need, Netanyahu, yes, and he needs to go and he needs to be in prison. That's a whole other song and dance. But it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter. The freak show, but what Ben Gvir and those guys are, they're psychopaths. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's the person there any more than it matters who's the person here.
Yeah. And it's, you're not going to get a more progressive replacement, most likely.
Oh no, you'll get a more conservative one.
Exactly.
And then the other problem I have with all of this, and this goes to Chuck Schumer, this goes to Joe Biden, it goes to any of them. Too little, too late. Doesn't matter what you do. You will never, ever, ever. This will never be redeemable, ever. Yeah. I don't care if I don't care if Joe, if they could build them an international airport and start taking people out tomorrow. Yeah. Too late. Oh, well, you are wrong. And it doesn't matter. And at this point, I honestly am like, you're having 1 million+ people that are going to starve. You can't just then in a few months bring in food. That's not how this works.
No, of course.
So this was always ending with a couple million dead people in the desert. Ever from the very beginning, I have been saying this whole time. There is no way they created a scenario where there's no turning it back.
Yeah.
So they are unredeemable.
It's unredeemable. What's your response when people say, "Oh, well, Trump would be so much worse"?
Worse than genocide.
I know, it's like a little bit pregnant.
No,
I don't even understand.
I refuse to engage in that. That is the most ridiculous thing ever, because as when I was at that event with an entire tent full of people from Palestine who are like, they're like freaking out. I don't think they really care if it's Trump at this point.
Yeah.
So and anybody, quite honestly, if you're in a position where that truly affects you, really affects you, consider yourself very privileged. Yeah. Consider yourself privileged. It's the difference between those two people truly affect you. Not just you don't like him and he says mean things and he's disgusting, but truly affects your life.
And assuming Biden loses, the war is going to be pinned to his loss. So Trump would take power and have the public massively against the war by default, because Biden just lost because of the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Trump, Trump doesn't have an ideology. He's just a narcissist.
Yeah.
So it's not like he'll go with whatever will make him look best. That's how he works. He goes with wherever the people from above whisper in his ear.
Right.
But he doesn't have like I don't believe actually a personal agenda, whereas Joe Biden is a staunch Zionist. So,
yeah, I mean, so much so that apparently like Menachem Begin thought that he was a, genocidal maniac back in 1982 when he didn't think that they had gone far enough. And when Reagan said that the invasion of Lebanon was a genocide, Reagan to the left of Biden on this. Crazy.
Yeah. So, the Trump is worst thing. Look, I'm not getting into it with people. If they feel that way and they have their Trump fears and their whatever is about. But people who truly know and follow policy.
Yeah.
That really pay attention, they know that it doesn't. That is not scary.
Yep. Yeah.
No, and there will be more pressure on Trump if from the media. I mean, look, a lot of the media is still going to back the AIPAC viewpoints, the J Street. They're still beholden to the money, but they're going to have an interest in fighting the incumbent and making Trump look bad. It's going to play well. So they're going to be dueling pressures on the media, which is going to only put more light into the pro-Palestine side of things.
Yeah. I mean, we really see what happened when Biden came in and sort of doubled down on all of the worst Trump policies, whether it was the military industrial complex or police or killing 800,000 people with COVID or the border wall, the deportations. I mean, and 2 different wars, something about both Trump's chaos prevented him from getting a lot of things done, as disgusting as his rhetoric was, but also to have an antagonistic press. And even though it was just reflexive and they don't have any ideology, clearly, because now they all love, the exact same things that they hated when Trump was doing it. So without that antagonism from the Fourth Estate, we don't have a democracy. So on some level, I mean, Biden is the accelerationist candidate,
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because until all of the different groups that have grievances, whether it's the labor movement, the environmental movement, the Stop Cop City people, the pro-Palestine people, all of those groups need to start coalescing and showing up at each other's events on the regular. And that starts the web of an eventual general strike. Yeah. And that is where power is. It's in the more people. Yeah. So I really, I think that when you get through to people and be like, our oppressor is the same. Yeah. Whether it's economic, military, environmental injustice, it's all connected. Yeah. So all of our people that we're fighting against is the same people. Yeah. So even though we might not agree on all of our issues, we're all still fighting against the same people. Right. So I think we need to coalesce on common enemy, and less so on individual kind of things. And so I try to like sort of visually create that, put that out there in the ether. That's my sort of thought.
Yeah. Building coalitions for sure.
Sounds pretty radical.
Am I crazy, Pat?
It's so crazy that we all want to just have a
somehow
dignified life.
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I just think everyone should be able to live. Yeah. I think anybody who's working 40 hours a week, we could debate the 32. I'm open to it. Yeah. I'm open to it. Yeah. But like anybody who works a full work week is entitled to live a life of dignity with housing, healthcare, education, food, it's really not complicated. Right. And most people want that. They've just been brainwashed and lied to about austerity, and they've been brainwashed and lied to about, different partisan nonsense. Right. And so, my goal is to kind of try to pull people out of that.
Good. That's great. Well, that's great. And you have your own sort of evolution story of having the facade peeled back and understanding what the truth was with Israel. I think a lot of people go through their own versions of that, whether it's Israel's propaganda or the U.S. propaganda. So I think that's a really nice way in to relate to the people you are canvassing with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? It's really not hard for me to do it. Yeah. It's really not hard for me. I will go anywhere and talk to anybody. Like really, very easily, I'll go meet with anybody who wants to talk to me. We could talk. Yeah. So I'm extremely easy and I'm extremely transparent and I'm available. And I will go to events. I give my phone number to everybody. You want to reach out to me and meet up or something, that's all good. So I just do my best to coalesce and build bridges, because otherwise we'll get nowhere. Yeah. And that's the thing. And the running for Congress thing, it's part of a strategy. It's not the be all end all. That's not, I'm not getting there and getting everybody healthcare. That's not how this works. They're not going to play with me, people. They're not going to like me very much. So it's just about the platform and using your voice and fighting and making sure that labor has a seat, making sure that immigrants are properly treated and just fighting, being a voice, whether or not policy, you know what I'm saying? Just Jesus, this is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we have really, that slippery slope is just a steep cliff at this point. So we really need to come back, because sometimes it really does feel like we're beyond repair. So people who are still willing to fight that good fight, give us all a lot of hope.
Well, I look at what's happening at the border and it drives me crazy. Yeah. Everyone wants to argue about immigration policy. Forget the policy for a second, people. Yeah. Can we put the policy aside for 5 seconds? Like, we could debate paths to citizenship. I don't really care, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You could even decide not to let immigrants in, maybe, if everybody wanted that, whatever, majority rule, fine. My issue is how we're treating human beings when they come here. My issue is how people are treated at the border. That is unacceptable way to treat people. I don't care whether you let them stay or they have to leave. We can discuss those things. Right. It is unacceptable to treat human beings this way, period. And so until we get in compliance with like international human rights laws, which we are not, it's very hard for people to meet, like, how are you being sanctimonious about anything having to do with human rights anywhere?
Yeah. I mean, truly. Yeah. The rules-based order has been shown to be a complete mockery. All right. We promised that we wouldn't keep you too long, but I want to make sure, is there anything else that we haven't gotten to that you want to make sure people know about your campaign, about your philosophy? Anything?
Well, guys, I have a podcast called Generational Change with a J. And the only it really shows who I am. And we have like over 3 years of content. So it definitely is, if anybody's really interested in finding out this is what I'm about, that's the way to go. What happened to her? Where's Lila?
She disappeared. She'll be back. So say something important and stall so I don't have to say anything silly and ridiculous.
So we have a lot of content on there. Obviously, I want people to go to gen2024.org. You could see all the issue statements. I write everything. It is from me. It is not from anybody else. I also am available if people send an email and somebody has something that they want to help with, or they want to suggest, or we are taking all kinds of help, any kinds of support. You can reach out to us on our website. And the whole thing is disgusting. Again, pregnant women swimming over razor wire just ain't sitting right with me, people. It just ain't sitting right.
Oh my God! And Biden's border,
of all things, that was the most disgusting image of 2023.
All of it is just freaking me out. But we need support. We do need money. You guys can definitely support with money if you can. I do have mechanism for people who want to go outside of Act Blue. I am very sensitive to that. So if you scroll to the bottom, there's a link to go through. I think it's Stripe. I don't know, whatever. It's something that's non-Act Blue. So you could do that and follow us on all our socials. We're at Gen for Congress 2024 on Twitter and Instagram. And I think on Facebook, I'm still at Jen Perelman. But we're just trying to help people. I'll be running a service-based campaign again. We're out doing service. Great. And it's just building community. So that's what I'm trying. It's, that's the only way this is going to work. Yeah. So, you could keep banging your head against the wall and running campaigns for a person. And then when they lose, the campaign goes away, the money goes away, nothing happens, and everybody has to start over. Right. We're not getting anywhere, people. Yeah. So I like to use the campaign to do momentum.
When you win, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. And you could end up worse the week on our show if you're not really fighting these people. Because I'm ready. I'm going to say, I knew Jen and she was on our show. Here's a clip. Here's what
it's so
said.
Funny.
Once you win, you'll come back and do shots and weed with us.
Hell yeah. I will come back. Mark my words.
Okay.
I will come back on every single show that has ever had me on that would want to have me back as a congressperson. I would come on. And I would, not only that, but those shows will get priority over any other mainstream media. Yeah. So, already first off, if we win, first is Jordan Cheriton. Like, we have a list of our people that have just really had our back. But I am extremely loyal. And the other thing is, I'm also pushing 53, people. I'm not looking for a new career. I'm not trying to go there forever. I have a mountain that has my name on it. I have a camper that I would like to be in. This is not like, maybe if I were 25, 26, when I saw this as like a career move, then it would be like, I have no reason not to do whatever I'm doing, because I don't need to get reelected.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
There's a lot of power in that.
There's a lot of power in that. Yeah. And by the way, people like it.
Yeah, we didn't even get into the whole disappointment of the squad and AOC bringing the ruckus, and the most powerful person is a one-term congressperson, because and the thing that we always say is, absolutely, if she actually had continued fighting and being the person we all thought she'd never lose an election, because it is incredibly popular, even if sometimes the issue isn't exactly what you might agree with. But to see somebody who is really fighting hard for her constituents and for the policies she believes in, and not just doing these sort of, careerist maneuvers.
Go down swinging. Like, can just one of these squad people just jump on the knife and end their career with the right opinions?
Well, here's the thing that's interesting, because one of the things that obviously we like about that group is that they don't take corporate money, right? So we know that they're not bought. We know that. Right. But obviously they're still very intimidated by whatever forces, whatever powers. And I don't get too into that about judging that, because I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. But it does appear to me that the common denominator for all of it is keeping the job.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
if you're not concerned with keeping the job, then what would you be scared of?
Yeah.
So that's the common denominator. Now, what everybody's personal positions are in terms of finances, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't judge it. And you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But I am not in that position.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a privilege.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is lending that, right? So I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but I have been the same person, seriously, forever.
Yeah.
I am the same here. I'm the same there. Yeah. I am the same at any function. So I don't know. I mean, could I have a lobotomy, and maybe when you go to the orientation, they put like a probe or something, and I don't know. That could happen.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're fighting hard, and we really appreciate your taking the time to stop by here and tell us about your campaign, and we will be following it.
Gen2024.org.
Okay.
No, you guys are great. And share, guys, if you want to volunteer from anywhere, send love, send money, just share is helpful. All of it's good.
All right, will do. Good luck, and we will be tracking you. Thanks so much, Jen.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.